Hello, my name is Lori Lamonto, and I'm a licensed professional counselor, a licensed drug and alcohol counselor, and this channel is called Courage to Change. Today, we're going to be talking about a victim mentality, a victim mindset. And what does that mean? Okay, so most of the time, okay, especially in this channel, when it comes to recovery and it comes to dysfunctional family systems or, maladaptive ways of upbringing, at one point or time, you were a victim. Whether it be you were in your home and you were a victim and you had to just deal with the unpredictability, the alcoholism, the abuse, emotional or mental or physical, or if later in life you had a relationship where you were actually, in a battered relationship. So I don't want to take that lightly. There is times and situations where we actually are victims. But what happens a lot of times is even when we get out of that victim situation or circumstance, the mindset has a very hard time trying to now not identify with being a victim. So you've almost like in your home, you were a victim. Now 18, 19, 20, 25, whichever age, you move out of your home and you go somewhere else. And at this point, you're not a victim anymore, but you have memories and recall and things that are making you still act as if you are still a victim. And it's a hard mentality to change, but it is something that you can unlearn and you can change. Basically, it's a woe is me. It brings negativity. It brings complaining. It brings a lot of your suffering to the table, whether it be with your coworkers, whether it be with your family members, or even a partner. Most of the time, it's going to be self-absorbed, that this negativity and this victim mindset is going to take priority in the relationship, and it's going to keep your spirits down, keep your energy down, because it is where you are almost feeling under assault or in a warfare at all times, because that's what you identified with under those circumstances. However, at this point in time, you're not under assault and you are not, in a warfare zone. But the woe is me will still act as if it is. It acts that victim still. So breaking the patterns of a victim mindset can be, challenging, because at one point in time, you were on your toes trying to protect yourself and do things to feel safe. And now you are safe, but you have gotten like a dog with a bone, So a dog with a bone, once they're salivating all over it and they got that bone, they don't let it go. So your identification of a victim is like you with a dog with a bone, and you won't let that go. I'm a victim. I'm a victim of circumstances. My belief system is I'm a victim. Circumstances show I'm a victim. My coworkers make me feel like a victim. My partner makes me feel like a victim. My life when I was younger was victim. So you're like a dog looping and looping around in your head that you're still this victim. And this victim mentality, not only is it going to be exhausting for you, because that's what you identify with, it's exhausting for other people. Okay? There's consequences to having a victim mindset. Meaning, how do you get into a healthy relationship with someone that really might like you, but then what you bring to the table is always your sufferings and your complaining and negativity and this victim, woe is me. For a while, that person might feel like, okay, I'm hearing this person's story, whether male or female, and they feel sad and they've had a hard life. But when does it shift? You cannot be in a healthy relationship without the shift of, being a co-partner, or, when you're in a relationship, it's about co-relating. You're supposed to have a dialogue back and forth, wow, you look nice, how you doing, optimism, let's go to a movie, let's do something. But when you bring the negativity and that victim, it's very discouraging for the person on the other side, okay? Whether it be your parents, whether it be a colleague, whether it be a counselor, whether it be, a partner, it can be very, exhausting, okay? One of the things that happens when you're in a victim mindset is you basically are setting yourself up. You might think you're not doing this, but this is what's happening. You're setting yourself up to not be emotionally available. There's a disconnect. So the recipient, the one on the other side trying to engage with you, can feel in their body a disconnect. There's no reciprocity, there's no, emotional connection. It's all about the woe is me, or the suffering. Now, I'm not trying to say suffering isn't real. We all have sufferings, we all have struggles, and many of us have been a victim of circumstances. But this idea of identifying like that dog with the bone and holding it, it's just this loop that you're stuck in. So it will be a consequence. You'll be saying, how come I can't hold relationships down? How come when I try to get in a partnership that I think is healthy, they somehow don't stay with me? It's because you haven't had a shift of identity. You are going to have to decide to yourself, I am no longer a victim. It's very disempowering to stay in a victim mindset. Some people get used to negative attention. Some people get used to being a victim, and that's what brought people to care for them, or, give them some connection. And, oh, if I share this, then they hug me. Oh, if I share this, they cry with me. So that you might have at one point in your life felt like you got a benefit out of this kind of a connection. But as you get older, what worked at 20 isn't going to work at 30 or 40. The men or women are not going to want that drama. They're not going to want a fixer-upper. They're not going to want to sit there. They want to come home with a person that has optimism and goals and dreams, and figure out where their next step is as a co-partner or a co-relationship. But if the relationship is always about you as the victim and always about your suffering, then that relationship's going to disconnect. So, the goal here obviously would be, coming up with skills, okay, or an awareness, because sometimes this is very subconscious. Because again, if it started young, or it started in an unhealthy young relationship or first marriage, it sort of has kind of overshadowed you. It's a shadow that you feel under assault all the time, or under attack all the time. So recognizing the shadow and recognizing you're not a victim anymore. Is that part of your story? Is that narrative and the history something that occurred? Yes. Yeah. At one point in time, you had circumstances where you felt you were a victim of abuse, sexual, physical, whichever, okay, emotional. However, 20 years later, if we're still circling and looping and holding that bone, that identity of just being in a victim mindset is something that is up to you to shift. Think of optimistic things, your financial. Sometimes we can be a victim of financial struggles. We can keep being victims of a lot of things. So the encouragement today, okay, is to first recognize you are even doing it. Okay, be aware that you're living in this victim mindset that has restricted you. It has put limitations on your life, okay? And once you get that awareness, we want you to expand. We want you to feel more empowered. We want you to stop restricting yourself and partners from having something healthy, okay? It does take work, because you have to start identifying with something else. So for 20, 25 years, you identified as a victim. What are you going to identify with now? So you do have to think, well, who am I? What is my identity? What identity of character traits do I want? What kind of conversations would I like to engage with that doesn't just involve suffering and struggles and assaults that I feel subconsciously are always upon me? I hope you take the courage to change in this. It can linger, and it can hold you back from things that are healthy. It definitely gives you consequences of emotional unavailability to your partners. They just feel like you're not reciprocating. You don't even ask them how their day was. It just all of a sudden comes down to you having a problem again, and they have to, listen to the problem and the struggle. Now, do relationships have struggles and suffering? Sure. I'm talking on a chronic, consistent basis where you live in that headspace. So take this time to, again, decide for yourself, yeah, I think I've been doing that probably for years, and I have to start being aware that I'm doing it, and Even if you have to write topics down on a piece of paper or in your phone, let me ask this person, what's your favorite color? What's the most embarrassing moment you've ever had? Oh my gosh, what happened at work today? You're in a good spirits. Make it a little bit about someone else so that they feel a relationship and not just you struggling and looking for, some kind of either negative attention or recognition that I'm a victim of life. You have to get rid of that disempowerment and change it to empowerment. So in that, I'm going to close. This again is called Courage to Change. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you back on the channel. Thank you.